Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Miss Lane. Having a look at what we've got here today in front of us, can anybody have a guess what our science lesson might be about? Okay, we have a kettle. Can anybody tell me what that does? That's right, it boils water. We also have an ice tray. Can anybody tell me what that does? That's correct. We can make ice cubes with it. What do you think we need to use both of these items? Water. Good job, guys. To begin our experiment today, year 3, we're going to see what happens what happens to water when we add heat to it. Can you guess what might happen? Some great guesses there. Yes, if we add heat to water, it can get very, very hot. So we need to have our safety hats on today. Boys and girls, we definitely need an adult's help when we boil water. Let's give it a go. I've already put some water in our kettle today and we can see what happens. Oh, and have a listen to what you can hear as well when it's boiling. Oh, can you hear that? When the water is getting hot, it starts to move around very fast, doesn't it? Just like when we're outside in the playground, we move around the playground really, really fast and we get really hot, don't we? So all that water is crashing into each other really fast, making bubbles, and it gets really, really hot. All right, let's see what happens to the water when we pour it into a glass. Don't forget this water is really hot, so we're going to definitely need an adult's help here. All right, you can tell me what you can see. Oh, wow. The glass is getting a bit foggy. This is called steam. Steam is the hot water turning into a gas. When steam rises into the air, it's very, very hot. So be careful, we don't want to put our hands anywhere near water into the fridge. How does it change? That's right, it gets really, really cold. But it still looks the same as when we first put it in there, doesn't it? What happens when we cool water down even more? Putting water into the freezer. All good guesses. Let's see what happens. I'm going to pour some water into our ice cube tray and we're going to put it into the freezer. All right. You definitely might need some help putting it into the freezer. You might not be able to reach it. Okay, that's going to take a couple of hours to get really, really cold and freeze up, isn't it? So we'll be back in just a second. All right, so our ice has been in the freezer for quite a few hours now. We're going to take it out and we're going to see what it's turned into. It's turned into a solid. How do you think this happened? When we get cold, what do our bodies do? We get a bit slow, don't we? So when we put water into the freezer, all those particles begin to move really, really slow until they stop. What do you think will happen if I hold the ice in my hand? That's right. It begins to melt and turn into a liquid again. My hand is adding heat to the ice and changing it back to a liquid. Thank you so much for listening to me today, boys and girls. I hope you really enjoyed our science lesson. I hope you enjoyed discovering how liquid changes when we heat it and cool it down. We have discovered many ways that water can change from a liquid to a gas, from a liquid to a solid, and from a solid back to a liquid. Don't forget, when experimenting with heat and using water that we can spill, we always need to ask an adult for help. When you try this experiment at home or at school, always ask for help from a teacher or a parent.